Hello lovelies and welcome to my channel. My name is Kimberly Marissa and I am a fashion expert, yes, and I own a fashion reselling business. I specialize in selling pre-owned, pre-loved, as I like to say, high-end as well as miniature designer men's, women's, and even kids clothing, as well as some, hard goods. But I predominantly sell women's fashion, high-end, as well as mid-tier designer clothing. 70% of my reselling is in the pre-loved space, and 30% is actually new with tags. It is new, never worn, never wear clothes. So, today I wanted to talk to you guys. I want to give you guys 7 tips. 7 tips for new resellers because I had to enter these shark-infested reselling YouTube waters because there was so much information that was being put out there that I don't really think was that informative, honestly, especially to people who are looking for some kind of guidance when they are deciding to get on this reselling journey. And I actually think these 7 tips that I have are going to be good for any reseller. Why? Because I'm also bringing to this my knowledge of reselling within the fashion space, because I have over 15 years of fashion merchandising experience, fashion retail experience, management in fashion experience, and I have been reselling for over 5 years. And so there's a lot of things that are out there, and I don't think that there are things being said that need to be said. So without further ado, let's get into it. So my first tip for anyone, honestly, but especially people who are just starting out and just getting their feet wet, sell what you know. Sell what you know, sell what you like, sell what you can relate to, and it never hurts to sell what you love. I sell things that I love. The reason why is because there you're going to see video after video of people talking about bolos, which are, if you don't know, brands to be on the lookout for. There's going to be references to hot selling categories and, must-haves, and this will sell for over $50 and this sells for $100, or quick flips and all this stuff. And while there is some validity to that, I want to stress that selling is an art form, and in any art form, it's always better to lead with your best foot forward, or whatever you have a natural talent in, a natural affinity for. That does not change with reselling. I see oftentimes people get frustrated and they wonder things like, hear people say things as, whoa, that doesn't sell for me, or I just can't move this, or all of these things. And that happens to everyone, and sometimes that happens to every single major retailer. There's always going to be merchandise that you thought was going to sell well and it doesn't for you. But oftentimes every niche, every genre of society where there's product, there is deep research often done, and that company sticks to a very specific branding plan and a very specific buying plan, because they're going to stick to what they know and what represents them and their brand. And you have to start doing the same for yourself. So if you love dresses, sell dresses. If you love kids clothes, or you're a parent and like that's what you're really drawn to whenever you go into a store, or just even if you're not a parent, sell kids clothes. If you love electronics, you've always loved putting things together, you've always loved knowing what's just out and what's the new hot item, you should go into that. I don't care what the entry, how hard you may think is to enter that space. If that is part of you, you will do well. You will do well in that. A lot of people, in all honesty, are not doing as well as they could because they're trying to sell things that are always on trend. And the trends in fashion move constantly. So whenever you're going to get on that train of trying to sell what everyone else is selling, you're inevitably probably going to miss the boat more times than not. Sell what you love. Sell what you know. Sell what you can relate to. So tip number 2 is flip thrifted items first. Now, you may have heard of that there are people, and I do this as well, that they get into retail arbitrage. Poshmark has the feature where you can buy wholesale merchandise and you can sell it through their boutique or create your own boutique. There's also now a huge outpouring of people getting into liquidation. That is all well and good, and those are all things that you should take in the right time. But start, I don't care what you're going to be selling, start in the thrifted space first, please, unless it's something that is so that you have such a, I don't know, a natural access to, or you just were gifted something and it's like crazy, or you have something and it's crazy and you have it in abundance maybe. But if you're just starting out and you want to gain momentum as well as you want to keep your costs low, this is all about making money. So you have to think about, your cost of goods. You have to think about how long you may have to hold something. You have to think about what is your possibility of profit after cost of goods, after fees. And so thrifted is always best. Why? Because it's low cost, it's high margins, and it's low risk. I mean, if you go to the Salvation Army or Goodwill, or any place where you're going to get stuff for like by the pound, like the bins, or even at the thrift store where you're going to get things, pennies honestly on the dollar, that's a low cost of entry, and it's worth it because you're just starting out and you have to gain momentum and you have to get an understanding of now this type of space that you're going to be entering into. So tip number 3 is give it 90 days of consistency. What is so key in all success is the ability to be consistent. And I stress this so much. You may be wondering, well, this is supposed to be talking about how to make so much money. You're not going to make any money, or you're not going to make as much money as you could if you don't follow these things. It's great to look at videos that talk about, oh, this is going to sell for you for $50. Oh my goodness, did I just spit? See, this helps. This is how passionate I am. But it would be great. It's great to hear those things. It's great to, look at someone's numbers and like, oh, I sold $2,500 this week, or I sold $1,000 in one day. That is amazing. But what they're not telling you oftentimes is how long they held on to the item. They're not telling you truly how much it cost them. They're not telling you how long it took them to get to the point that they're now selling consistently $500 a day or $500 a week or whatever it is. And I want to stress to everyone, especially those who are starting new, because there are so many people in this space of providing content about reselling, that you really understand that you have to be consistent. And also, the reason I stress, give it 90 days is because just like any other job, any place, 90 days is usually a good enough grace period to actually start to see things, to start to see a pattern emerge, just to start to be able to weed out, oh, that's working, that's not working. 30 days, flukes can happen. 60 days, can I repeat that? 90 days, usually you start to even see for yourself, oh, this is what I usually can get in my community, meaning that what access do you have to thrifted merchandise, or just any kind of merchandise that you're going to sell? What is your access to it? How reliable will that inventory be for you? You can see that after a while in 90 days. Also, how long is it going to take someone to notice your item and actually make a purchase, which is conversion. That is what makes consistent sales, is your conversion rate, in all honesty. And that takes time because the algorithms for Poshmark, the algorithms for eBay, the algorithms for even YouTube, is all about the consistency factor. They're trying to see, if you put up a video, is this a fluke? If you have this great item, is this a one-off? Are you going to come back and sell something else? Is the customer going to be happy? Because that gives time also for you to start to get feedback. It gives time also for you to have actually gone through the whole transaction process of listing it, it's selling, and it being delivered and not returned. So stick with it 90 days. It's delayed gratification, guys. I don't know what my mouth was trying to say before. Something else was trying to come out. The next, I have a whole pad of like notes. That's why I keep looking this way. So the next tip 4, is there are many platforms, and the big ones that everyone is really talking about obviously is, the old dog, the OG in the house, which is eBay, as well as, Poshmark, which, I believe at the beginning of this year, went public. So now they're a publicly traded company on the New York Stock Exchange. So those are the big dogs, but there's also Mercari, which I'm seeing ads everywhere for, and I also sell on Mercari. There's Tradesy, there's Grail, there's Citizen. I mean, the list goes on and on, in all honesty. There's trades, I said Tradesy. There's also, people sell to the real. There's so many ways. Even Facebook Marketplace is becoming really a big player now, because now they provide the opportunity for your sellers to actually ship items out instead of it just being like a pickup situation. So yeah, you have a plethora of platforms to choose from, in all honesty. My suggestion is, first and foremost, choose one. The reason I want you to choose one is not because one is better than the other. It is not because one is easier than the other. It is not because it's hard to sell on multiple platforms. I sell on multiple platforms and I get multiple sales on all of my platforms. I get consistent sales on all of my platforms. That's not a problem. And I will tomorrow be giving you some tips as to secret things that, full-time, I'm a full-time reseller. I've been one for years. I see the people online, I don't think they really share certain things and how it really is. So I want to start sharing that because I love to just give information away. But not digressing. I just want you to stick on one platform because most importantly, you have to understand the platform in order to actually make the money. You have to understand the platform. And just like in school, it is much easier to go from subject to subject than trying to learn all the subjects simultaneously. So I don't want you to just out the gate try to post things on eBay and post things on Poshmark and cross-post things on Facebook Marketplace. I think you should do all of that in time because, in all honesty, the more places you sell, the better. And I have other things to say about selling on multiple platforms also. But when you start out, start slow. And starting slow means pick one platform. And it doesn't matter what platform. There are resellers that are successful on every platform. Do not believe the hype that one is better than the other or that this one is not good, that great. And because I hear all that craziness and I'm like, no, you're just lazy. And you have, okay, that's going to be for tomorrow's. That will be for tomorrow's upload because I'm going to be doing these every day because I am just over all this craziness that's being put out there. It's just craziness. And it's not even business oriented oftentimes. It's just like all these opinion pieces. But start on one platform because, again, look at Amazon. Amazon started by selling books. Okay? Microsoft started with just one processor. This is business. It is a business, regardless of why you're getting into it. I don't care if you're getting into it just because you want to make money on the side, or if you're getting into it because you want to leave your current job, or you're getting into it because you don't have a job and you need money and you just can't go back into a traditional workplace. I don't care. I don't care your reason, in all honesty. In honesty, your reason, honestly, it doesn't matter. What I want to stress is that reselling is still a business. It is a business. And that brings me to my next point. Remember, transactions equal business, so treat it as such. Treat this, you will save yourself money and stress if you treat this as a business and respect it as a business from the beginning. It doesn't matter what it is to you, and meaning that if it's going to be full-time or part-time or a hobby. Just respect that at the end of the day, if you're selling goods to make a profit, you're doing a business transaction. And so you're in a business. You're in a business. That's it. That is it. And treat it as such. And what do I mean by treat it as such? Which is you have to pay attention and take your time and respect the rules of engagement when you are in business. So again, there's a leniency I feel within reselling that it makes it seem like it's so focused on community, and I use that loosely because there's been so many crazy things that have happened over the years. But I say community because people follow people, and they follow people sometimes just because they like them, as opposed to are they really giving them information that's really going to transform their selling or help them elevate their selling. You know, and is it transparent? This is a business. And so it doesn't matter if you didn't like the customer service you got from any platform. What matters is, are you able to work within that platform to make money? And is that platform legitimate? If that is a yes, then all of those other things, that's like saying, I'm not going to, go with a cable company because I, didn't like the customer service I got when I called in from an associate. Yeah, it sucks, but you can't stop an entire aspect of a service you want, or even a business platform that you can use to make money, simply because of an isolated situation and a representative. So treat this like a business. I think sometimes it becomes very gray in the reselling space, with emotions and preferences and wish lists of, oh, this, I wish they would do this, and I wish this was possible, and I wish I didn't get returns, and I wish. This is a business. You will get crazy customers. You will get unusual requests. You will not always feel fulfilled. You will sometimes lose. I mean, it's a business. And I just want you to have the expectation of that's what it is from the very beginning, from the very first transaction. That's not said enough to new resellers, as well as even old resellers, or those who have been in it for a while, need to hear that. It's a business, guys. Nothing in my business is personal to me, other than, employees, and the brand of my business. But I respect business for what it is. And so I'm a happy girl because of it. So I think, what are we up to? Are we up to number 5? Are we up to number 0.5? I only have 7, so are we up to 0.5? The next point I want to make is educate yourself. Again, if you want to make money, whatever niche, whatever market you're entering into, whatever category you want to sell in, or categories you want to sell in, educate yourself about those things. Even if you already know about them. Even though I said, yeah, sell what you know, I'm always educating myself. Again, I said what I do sell. I sell my average item I'm going to sell for myself is an item I can price starting at $35 to often $40, $50. That's just my starting. Why? Because I like to sell in the mid-tier luxury space. I have to constantly educate myself on what's hot, what's trendy, what brands are doing well, what brands aren't doing well. And I don't rely on other YouTubers telling me what's a bolo. I actually look at publications. I actually will read, Women's Wear Daily. I will actually look at Fashion Week. I will, online or in person, I buy fashion magazines for the month. I'm always people watching. That's what I mean by educating yourself. I'm also always looking and taking business courses. I am a part of many different business organizations that have nothing to do with fashion, that have nothing to do with reselling, because I respect that at the end of the day, there are certain tenets of business that are universal. And that's what allows you to make lots of money, is understanding that, not what was someone's great bolo from last week, in all honesty. Because again, trends are constantly in fashion changing. And there is a big nuance to why, honestly, customers like certain things and don't like certain things at a specific time. And there's also algorithm aspects that are not talked about enough. It's not about trying to fool the algorithm, but that's another video I'm going to do. You have to just be focused on, understanding that this is a business and it has to be respected as such, so that you can make all the money. This is my money hands. He said, this is how I do money hands, like this. And 6, I think this is actually my last one because I skipped around a bit. If you're new to reselling, it is a slow build. Okay, reselling is a slow build. Why? Because it is a numbers game in terms of just like any store. If you were to go to a store right now, any department store, any even bodega, we have those in New York. If you were to go to a bodega, if you were to go to, even the Dollar Tree, the reason businesses do well is because they have an assortment of whatever they're selling, whatever is their market, whatever is their niche. They still have an assortment, and they have to build up because it's good to have, they do it by SKUs, many SKUs. Why? Because customers like having the ability to have choices presented to them and have the ability to have options. The same is for your online reselling store. And I use store just to represent what you're building it to. You have to understand that people are coming to you, and they're usually now, especially now that reselling has become much more accepted in just culture. Buying thrifted and selling thrifted and making this an actual business, and people understand it's very viable and it's actually very lucrative if you know what you're doing, which is why you guys are listening to this. And so you have to build your inventory up, because you do. You're not, unless you're selling, I don't know, Fitbits or like iPhones, or maybe, or something that is already extremely high ticket item. If I had somehow, like I was able to get a constant flow of like 5 Hermes Birkins, yes, I would not need, to have 100 or 1,000 or 2,000 or 10,000 items. I can literally suffice on 5 new Birkins a month, because they start at over 10G. And pre-owned is actually worth more than new, oftentimes. Just a little tidbit. So, because most of us are not selling Birkin bags, we're selling items that we can get at the thrift store, that we do have in our homes, that we have owned at one time. They're more common items, even if they're high ticket items. And so you need to have an abundance eventually of that. Abundance for you depends on, again, the business model. And we'll speak about that in another video in terms of if you want to be price point conscious, which is where I'm at. I do care about volume. Like I'm saying right now, you do have to build your inventory to a certain amount just to get consistent sales. Like having 100 items, that's going to be really hard for you to just get daily sales off of 100 items. It just is. But you don't necessarily have to be like some, other resellers where they like have 10,000 and, 30,000 items, and they're like listing, 500 items a day, like that's because a lot of times they're more volume resellers where their price points are lower. And so to make up the difference and get a certain amount of money, they have to sell a certain quantity. So that does matter. And that's the thing, again, the 90 days will help you to understand what is within your reach. Because for some people, it's not even about what they would prefer. It's about what's within their reach. And that's what I want you to understand with your reselling journey, is that I need you and I want you to recognize that this is something that will be parts what you make it and parts what is available to you and how you can understand how to capitalize on that. So I hope that you got something out of this, because this is truly advice that will help you actually make a lot of money, because this is groundwork. This is how you're going to build the foundation of your business, also your mentality of how you're approaching your reselling journey and your reselling business. And you could take it, sky's the limit. So until tomorrow,